Welcome to the Shakaama Live Show with your host, Shakaama. This is Shakaama'S Black Manifesto, the real path to black freedom. The whole idea is and I'm using these words not as something that, you all will understand. You know, black people talk about freedom. Technically, we're free. But technically, all of my white neighbor are free. They're all free, right? Nobody's, beating them. But when you get into the intellectual level, there's different things that you say that mean other things. Almost none of us are free when what we have to do to survive is to make money, right? And the method of making money is a job. The Supreme Court of the United States has determined after slavery, after all of that mess was passed in U.S. history, and somebody came and brought a case and said, this person cannot work for another person. And the Supreme Court held that their very first mandate as a court is to uphold contracts. And they said, although all slaves have been freed, if a person contracts themselves to be what? A slave, the Supreme Court cannot rescind the contract. What were they talking about? A job. So in the eyes of the law, contracting yourself out to another person makes you a slave. That means labor is slavery. Job is slavery. So when I say freedom, I mean freedom. And a lot of you people don't understand what system you're actually under. And even the people who think that they are quote unquote woke don't get it at all. It's so far over their head. They don't even have, when we say are over your head, I mean, there's not even a glancing blow off the forehead. No, it's so far, it's the airplanes that are flying over. They don't even come close to even understanding that they don't understand. So if I say the real path to black freedom, I mean real freedom in the intellectual sense, in the legal sense. And if you come at me talking about a job, and I say, well, you can get a job, I wouldn't recommend it, but you can get a job. You're not free. So technically, nobody in the United States is free, right? You understand the definition of freedom now? You understand the definition of what a job is? According to the Supreme Court of the United States of America, the best legal minds, and we're talking about real legal minds, this is a very old case. It was right after everything was passed. I said, well, hold up. You can't work for somebody else. The Supreme Court says if he contracts it, he can work for somebody else. We don't like it, but we can't declare it unconstitutional because he has voluntarily entered into this contract with another person. So a lot of this woman stuff, a lot of this Black Lives Matter stuff, all of this stuff, it doesn't even touch the surface of what they should actually be talking about. I'm making this manifesto, this video, so that you know exactly where I stand. Now, why am I doing this? Because the FBI has made up a group and called it Black Freedom Extremists. And I want to make sure I'm completely differentiated from Black Lives Matter or anything like that, right? You know I'm against Black Lives Matter. You know that I know that it is a George Soros funded organization, group, 75% of Black Lives Matter is white. How can you have a group called Black Lives Matter when it is a white group? And at 75% of the group being white, it is a white group. You can be deluded into thinking that it's a black group. It is not a black group. 25% of the group is not even black. There is some smaller percentage that is black. Then there's a percentage that is Latino, percentage that is Asian, that is Native American. Black people aren't even in the majority of the minorities in their own quote unquote group. 75% of Black Lives Matter is white. It is a white group. I'm not confused. Anybody who says that Black Lives Matter the group is a fantastic is a maroon. As my favorite cartoon character says, what a maroon. I want to make sure that if you hear the FBI picked me up for being an extremist, I want you to say, nope, you got the wrong guy. That guy is an extremist because he doesn't believe anything that you're talking about. Here we go. I'm going to give you this is just 5. I am pro-black, which is to say I'm pan-Africanist. And I am libertarian, which is to say I believe in the complete freedom of the man, of the human. The less government, the better. The less regulation, the better. Do no harm is the only thing that I believe in. Call me names? I'm not really concerned. And I'm going to do a video calling America has lost its dignity. And dignity is defined as a person having dignity within themselves, and nothing that another person can say does anything to the self-worth of the person, of the man. I'm a dignified man because I believe that I am dignified, and nothing that you can say will ever take me back. That's what dignity is. It has nothing to do with having money. It has everything to do with the self-control of the individual. There is no dignity in America because people are crumbling under the crushing words of people that they oppose. That's not dignity. And trying to squelch the words of somebody else because you feel bad about yourself means that you are not dignified. I support these fundamental ideas for a path of power for the African diaspora. That means all black people all over the world. That's Jamaicans, Haitians, Panamanians, all the South Americans, all the Asians, all the black people, right? I'm not trying to go back into DNA. If that were the case, that would be everybody. Yes, including these these hate groups that don't like black people. They're actually black people. Sorry to tell you this, but the any sort of human DNA in you, found in you, because you have some other DNA, is black. That's where you get your humanity from. Sorry to tell you that. There is not a walking human on the planet that is not of African origin in your DNA. Ancestrally, all of you. I don't care how pasty white you are. I don't care how many freckles you have. I don't care how red your hair is. I don't care how blue your eyes are. You got all of that from somebody else. You walking upright on 2 legs with skin, with sweat glands, that comes from Africa. Not talking about that right now. There is a lack in the African diaspora, and it's not on the part of the actual African diaspora. It's on the part of the governments that are. I don't care about Brad next door. Brad next, again, with the dignity, right? Brad next door can say whatever he likes. It doesn't affect me. Brad cannot affect me. That's up for getting violent or something like that. Brad can't affect me, but you know who can affect me? Congress, the Senate, the Supreme Court, the governor, the mayor, federal bank. All right? Not the peon next door. Who cares about the serf next door? He has no power. None. Am I gonna go march in the street because Brad said something? I've never turned anybody in for saying anything to me, and let me tell you, as a YouTuber, people say some doozy stuff, and it goes right over my head. Up. Wow, did you really say that? Did you come onto my channel and say that? Okay, number 1. Police protect, assist blacks to enter middle class from poverty. Let me explain that. Blacks entered middle class under the protection of the police. The police were instrumental in taking black people from poverty to middle class. That probably just exploded half of the people listening to me's mind. It was because of the police protecting black people that black people who had a massive wealth gap as opposed to white people protected their communities so that the communities were peaceful. I don't know if you know this, but in the 50s, in the 60s, all of these little black townships, the black section of town, all of that sort of stuff, or the black towns that were on the outskirts of the white town when the suburbs didn't exist, the black little townships, you could walk away from your house and leave your door unlocked, your car unlocked, because it was just that safe. And because of that freedom, black people were able to concentrate on getting ahead. The police were instrumental in assisting blacks from getting out of poverty. Number 2, governments are used as tools to remove the barriers of entry into business, startups for blacks, and the federal government are used to remove the barriers cities and states put up to keep blacks out of business, manufacturing, and financial self-reliance. That's number 2. So I believe that we should use the government, the federal government, to absolutely make sure that your city doesn't put up a bunch of barriers so that only white people can open up a coffee shop. Now, it's not on the books. It's not going to say only white people can open up a coffee shop. But please look up redlining. Please look up redlining. It never said blacks couldn't own a house. It never said blacks couldn't move into the suburbs. Never said that. Please go look up redlining. Blacks need to use the government to their advantage. That includes the FBI. Number 3, black wealth is super achieved through intra-racial marriage, black and black marriage, as one of the key factors to move poor blacks into the middle class and beyond, with the benefit of extremely low divorce rates, which destroys empires. That's number 3. I have told you time and time again, blacks have the second lowest divorce rate out of all the groups. The only one with the number 1 least divorce rate are Asians. Next come blacks. then I believe Latinos, and leading the pack in divorces are white people. But you don't hear about that. Why? Because that's normal. That's normal. That's boring. Also, you don't hear that being married moves black people out of poverty almost overnight. Kwame marries Shaniqua, and almost overnight, the two become middle class. They have options open to them that they did not have as a single person. Now, Kwame is going to have a better job. He's going to make better money, blah, 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 so forth and so on. He's going to make more money than Shaniqua. However, when the two get together, their whole new options are going to be opened up to them. And black marriage has increased black wealth more, you ready for this, than education. And everybody wants to promote education as a way to move out of poverty. And the fact is, marriage in the black community has moved more people, more black people out of poverty than any education. Especially now that education is so costly and 90% of education is worthless. Did you hear me? Worthless. I have a worthless degree. That's why I own businesses. But low divorce rates, black marriage moving black people out of poverty to the middle class and beyond. What does and beyond mean, Shakaama? A lot of people who move into the middle class, a lot of them keep moving, because when that ambitious spark is kindled, they keep going all the way up to billionaire. Number 4, black freedom is specifically tied to an economic base and not a political base, unlike the idiot civil rights people who promote that. And only an economic base will move black people into the future and the technological revolution that is to come. I consider it a high sin. Do you understand the levels of sin? I consider it a high sin when people come on my channel and say, money doesn't matter. Money isn't everything. Money is everything. And if you are running around talking about money isn't everything, you, in my book, really don't deserve to be heard. I'm calming down here, especially trying to tell that to black people. That money isn't everything. That's a high sin. That is right up there with Satan worship, witchcraft, anything. Just so you have an idea of how much I hate that. Money isn't everything. Money is the only thing. What about love? What about love? What are you even talking about? Since when has love put food on the table? Since when has love put diapers? No. Oh, well, my cousin really loved. No, somebody went out and bought those diapers. Or the church ladies. No, those church ladies went and bought those diapers with money. Stop being delusional. I can't stand it. I just can't stand it. Money is everything, and an economic base for the black community is the only thing we should ever be talking about, not politics. Politics hasn't gotten us anywhere, and in 60 years, 70 years of voting Democrat, guess what? The wealth gap has increased. The education gap has increased. The lifestyle gap between blacks and white has increased. We are worse off today than we were in the 50s. And in the 50s, we were broke. And you know what's funny? Poverty, more people have moved out of poverty statistically over the decades than ever before in our capitalist society. So everybody talking about capitalism is bad, capitalism is bad, they're crazy. Capitalism, any capitalist nation has moved more people out of poverty than any other type of financial government. Capitalism. Chew on that. economic base for black people, not political base. The Asians aren't political. Well, not political in the sense of lobbying for Asians about Asians. However, the Filipino oil lobby is the largest. A lot of people say, oh, the feminist lobby, oh, the this lobby, oh, the Jewish lobby. No. At the heart of it, the money lobby, anything to do with like big money, those people lobby more than anybody else. And a lot of their stuff covers a lot of other stuff. The reason that we don't have flying cars is because of a lot of the financial lobbies, not political lobbies. Not political lobbies. So all of these feminists who think that they got it like that, nope, you don't got it like that. You're nowhere in you're not even in the top 1,000. You're not even in the top 1,000. And you don't affect anybody other than hurting women. Number 5, and this is the final. Black equality is tied to financial freedom of our group, not political power, which comes anyway with wealth. Identified as a majority of black being shifted into financial freedom through business ownership, manufacturing, and financial self-reliance, instead of being beholden to anyone else due to massive numbers of blacks having jobs instead of owning businesses. So that right there almost ties up everything in all the other points. So we need to shift blacks from having jobs into owning businesses as a way, a pathway to freedom. Now, we should have this for everybody, right? Right, Shakaama? That should be that should be for white people too, Shakaama. Well, I'm not here for everybody. My people are suffering. We're at the bottom of every scale. We're at the bottom of every financial database. We're at the bottom of every economic database. We're at the bottom of education. We're at the bottom of business ownership. We're at the bottom of financial freedom. No, I'm not here for everybody. I'm here for black people. Black people need it. White people should be helping black people do this. You want to assist me? Help me get this word out. Share these videos. You know what's going to happen in turn? The entire pool